Okay, so if you've ever traveled anywhere outside of North America or you've been overseas, what I'm about to show you is it's gonna be like common sense to us. But for millions of US citizens, apparently this is breaking news. One of our viewers sent me this article, and basically a travel expert who visited 70 countries had to write a list of 7 things that US citizens should never say abroad. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. Now, I'm not generalizing all US citizens. I've met plenty that were normal. And you know what? We had great conversations. But unfortunately, there are some US citizens that were really bad apples. Kind of like this guy. You notice how this guy's tone changed once the Australian guy kind of stepped in? I mean, the US citizen, the guy was berating the staff in Vietnam. In my opinion, it's probably because he feels like he's above everybody. But once somebody, maybe though, a little bit bigger than him or someone who could probably like beat him down, steps in, the guy plays the victim. And when I say victim, he starts going off on a story about how they put milk inside his coffee or whatever, and he got an upset stomach. Like, seriously, screw off. But I'm showing this video to you because this happens all over the place. I've had my own personal experiences as well. I mean, I'll quickly say it right now. Before COVID, I was on a work trip, and I met a US citizen. Well, I didn't really meet him. He was just standing in front of the line of me. And we were nowhere near the United States. I mean, we were in a country foreign. And he tried to pay for his items with US dollars. Now, the first thing I usually do when I travel is I try to get the local currency. You know, maybe at least a couple $100 of the local currency. That way I have it if I need it. Otherwise, I pay with everything on credit card. But this US citizen that was standing in front of me acted just like this guy. And apparently he didn't have any local currency. He didn't think he needed it because he thought that everybody around the world wants the US dollar. So unfortunately, this stuff does happen around the world when US citizens travel. And it's to the point where this article had to be created. And I want to go through all 7 points of this article with you. Now, just to clarify, I'm not generalizing all US citizens when I'm talking point to point. Because as a matter of fact, there are US citizens that are annoyed at their fellow US citizens when they're overseas. And I'm going to show a video of that later. So number 1, everyone speaks English here, right? This sentence can make a bad impression before the conversation has even properly started. English is common for plenty of tourist heavy destinations, and many people around the world speak it far better than visitors speak any second language themselves. But that does not make English universal, and it certainly does not make something strangers owe you on demand. Even where English is widely understood, opening with an assumption can sound careless and dismissive. You know what? I was going to read out all of them, but I'm not going to read step by step because, I mean, this is common sense to most of us. I'm just going to talk about it. When you're traveling to a country where the primary language is not English, you cannot expect and be entitled to think that they're going to speak English back to you. Now, if you're in a populated area or a tourist area, chances are, they might understand you. But there's a difference between demanding English and, asking politely, do you speak English? And I don't think many US citizens actually understand that. Now, this next one, sadly, I've heard it a few times. Number 2, this is how we do it in America. There's no other way you can spin this line. It's basically degrading wherever you're visiting. Not just the place, but the people as well. Like that idiot earlier who was screaming at the hotel workers in Vietnam. It's the sense of entitlement and what you're used to in the United States. It's not going to be like that in Vietnam or the rest of the world. This next one's a classic. Number 3, do you know who I am? Another entitlement one. Basically stating, you know what? Because I'm from the United States, I am better than you. The truth is, when you're visiting another country, no one's going to give a shit that you're actually from the United States. And to be honest, using a line like that overseas is just going to get you in trouble. And my guess, that guy in Vietnam who went on his tirade, I'm sure he probably used this line as well. This next one, number 4, that's weird. Now, I get that this could be confrontational to the locals or wherever you're visiting, because it's essentially insulting whatever you're talking about. This one's more of a common sense thing to me. I mean, it's just human interaction and making sure you're saying things that's not going to be like insulting to the other person. Number 5, I paid a lot to be here. Ooh, this one's full of self-entitlement. And I'm pretty sure that the US citizen in the video clip earlier who was visiting Vietnam probably said this one as well. I'm sure many of you have probably run into people like this. And what irks me about this one is that, yes, this person might have paid a lot to get to wherever destination they're going, but so did you, and so did everybody else in the hotel, or the restaurant, or wherever it is. So what makes this person saying it more special than anybody else? Just a question. Number 6, can you make an exception for me? This one here definitely irks me, because it's also the same thing again, where you believe you're above the rules and the law. Sounds like someone we know, doesn't it? And the last one, number 7, the food back home is better. What? I'm sorry to my US viewers, but the food in the United States is just not that good. Every other country that I've been to has had better food. But not only better, but like healthier with less pesticides and stuff. But this one just comes down to habit. I mean, people are used to what they're used to. So if someone in the United States prefers the food in the United States, Hey, whatever floats your boat, that's fine. But this is just me going on a little bit of a rant here. But like when I go on vacation, I want to try the local food. I don't want to like try the stuff that I'm used to in Vancouver. A bit of a story. One time, my wife and I, we were in Bangkok, Thailand. This was before COVID. And we ran into a US couple. And the first thing they asked me is, do you know where the local McDonald's and Starbucks is? And I was thinking, you're in Thailand right now. There's much better coffee than Starbucks, and there's much better food than McDonald's. But hey, if they want to try McDonald's and Starbucks halfway around the world, then so be it. So these are the 7 things that were listed in this article. Now, I understand that this article should apply to anybody traveling. It doesn't matter what passport you're holding. It's called common courtesy, in my opinion. And it's something that this guy needs to learn because the entitlement thing's not working for him. But to be honest, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one. The US citizens, they do have a reputation globally. I mean, to be honest, this article was created for a reason. But it's not only the rest of the world that really can't stand these types of US travelers. It's also US citizens themselves. If I was a US citizen and I saw this guy in the hotel, I would be embarrassed to hold the same passport as him. And in this next clip, I'm going to show you US citizens also already fed up with their fellow citizens when traveling abroad.
This is so wild. I literally had to walk out of dinner to tell you guys about this. You all know I had a video that went a little crazy recently, why Europeans hate Americans. So let's do it again. Why Europeans hate Americans part 2. We're literally, I'm still sitting at this bougie, fancy, amazing restaurant in Paris. First things first, interesting to note, about half the place is English-speaking Americans, which I do think is a double-edged sword for these Parisians because they want the money, you know, but it comes with a lot of what I'm about to tell you guys about. So we're sitting there, and next to us is 2 separate tables of 2, a young couple and a couple of girls, and they are fucking yapping. I don't know what part of Long Island they're from, but it was pretty obvious where they were from. And they were talking about what color Porsche they had and what color purple that Kylie Jenner had, and you know, God bless their dad for being able to get them a Porsche in their early 20s, but the shit was real annoying. You know the type. So next to us, at the table next to us, is an older couple. This is where things get interesting. This older couple is from Michigan, Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and they don't play this shit. And so this woman, an older woman, had a look of disgust. I mean, she was pissed. And finally she looked over us, she goes, "Are these girls annoying you?" And you know, my polite girlfriend's like, "Whoa, no, you know, we understand, you know, they're a little distasteful." And this woman was like, "They're so vain." And this is what I gotta break down for you, especially for the European folks that are following along. Not all Americans like all Americans. And there is, just like France or Spain or any other European country, any other country in the world, there's different classes of people, there's different regions of people, there's different cultures. Midwestern folk do not necessarily always understand or fully appreciate East Coast folk. East Coast folk, for certain parts for sure, they usually just don't give a fuck. And it's very loud and it's very obtrusive. And I know some, well, you're yapping on a street. I specifically went to a quiet part so I go yap on the street by myself and not piss anyone off. These folk are in the restaurant yapping away, and it's annoying. And like I was saying, the reason that Europeans hate Americans is the same reason that a lot of Americans hate Americans.
Now I'm going to interrupt this guy because this is the point I was trying to make. That entire list of 7 things that US citizens should never say traveling abroad, it doesn't apply to everybody. But it probably applies to those 2 girls that he's talking about that are very annoying.
These people are annoying. They don't shut the fuck up, and they make us look bad. Yes, I am talking on the internet. I'm fully aware of that. But I went out of my way to go somewhere where I wasn't bothering anyone. I'm not doing this in a restaurant. That would be fucking annoying. And these people, I don't know if it's the Gen Z thing, it's the cultural thing, it's being a pampered little brat from Long Island, but they are yapping away and they're pissing off the locals and they're pissing off the Americans that are also there on vacation.
So I don't want this video to seem like I'm bashing every single US citizen. I'm not. Because there are some great US citizens, but unfortunately there are some really bad ones as well. Like that dude in Vietnam. But whether we like it or not, or you know, whether the US citizens like it or not, this is something that is under the microscope right now. And for the US citizens that are planning to travel abroad, unfortunately, you got a bit of a stigma on you. And my suggestion, like I said in my previous videos, the way to like settle the situation is just say, no, I didn't vote for the guy. It's sad that you have to say that, but it will cool down any potential situations. And one thing is, you can't blame people for thinking this. I will be fully transparent. If I ever meet any US citizens in the future, I'm always going to have it in my mind. Who did this guy vote for? It always reminds me of this scene from the 2024 movie called Civil War. Let me show you.
Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you?
Hey, I'm just saying out loud what we're all thinking. Because any US citizens that we meet, we are going to have in our head, who do they vote for? What kind of US citizen are they? Now, to my US viewers who are watching this, some of this might hurt to actually hear. But I know from the comments that you guys are leaving in my videos that you know full well, like the guy in Vietnam, is the one that's ruining your country's reputation. I don't know how to fix the reputation, but all I know is it's probably going to take a long time. Okay, that's all I got for this video. If you found any value or agree with anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian perspective and an international perspective as well, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. That way you're notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, just wait for the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.